Okay, just want to tell you what I'm going to do today. Well, I've already gassed up the saw, put some oil in it, and I'm going up in the woodlot, and I'm going to cut up some, well, we're going to bring out some trees that aren't the best to sell. I'm not going to sell them, but it's going to be okay for the wood that I burn here at the house. I burn a lot of the scrap stuff that I don't sell here at the house, and I'm going to grab some of that today. It's supposed to snow maybe later today, so here we are, about 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning, and I'm going to go up and try to get that done, and you can take a look and see what I'm doing while I'm up there. Now I'll cut this thing up and get this out of here. Okay, the thing you want to remember about this white birch that I just cut up, you have to get it cut and split and drying soon. Now it's late November. I'm going to take this back to the house and I'm going to leave it as around, and then next spring I'll split it. That bark that's around a white birch is waterproof, and it won't dry through the sides of the wood. So that's why you got to split it. If you don't split it, it's just going to rot, and it'll rot in no time. It's unbelievable how fast white birch will rot if it isn't split. So, and that's because that bark is waterproof. It can't dry at all through the sides of the white birch bark. So it'll be all right for this winter till I get it split next spring. A lot of people will ask me why I waste so much time just cutting up that little scrap. You can see it's pretty small diameter. But the thing you got to remember is, the reason I do it is that amount of wood right there, cut, split, and dried, will heat my house on a cold, cold winter day here in northern New Hampshire. It'll heat my house for a day, at least a day, depending on how cold or how windy it is. But that's what I figure. Just one little stack of wood like that is a day. Now that's, depending on how much oil you use on a given day, that's going to be $5 to $10 heating my house. And the key thing is I enjoy doing this. So why not come out here, enjoy a day out in the woods, gather a little bit of firewood, and save myself $5-10, whatever it is. So that's how I do it, because I like doing it. If it was my job, that would be something different. But I like doing this. I like getting out in the air and in the woodlot and just spending time out here, and I just really enjoy doing it. So that's why I do it. Okay, you probably noticed that I'm pulling some of this stuff out of the woods with a chain attached to the bucket of my tractor. It's not the safest thing in the world to do, especially some of you that have watched this channel and watched me getting some firewood out and whatnot. That I have a good winch that I can attach to the back. But on the back of the tractor right now is my backhoe, and I'm using that right now till it gets to winter and freezes up. So I'm using that a little bit. So this little bit of scrap that I've got to get out that's right near the wood road here, I can pull out safely with the chain as long as I'm careful. And you have to be extremely careful, because you get things just right, it can flip that tractor over real easy. So I do things slow, and I'm real careful about it. So that's why I do it. So don't wonder about that. I'm safe. I'm taking my time and going really careful. So that's why I do it. It's because the backhoe is on the back of the tractor. Now I'm going to bring up that, pull that piece of poplar out of there. So hope that goes okay. Here, I can cut some rounds off that, get that loaded into the tractor, and head back home and have a cup of coffee. You've seen me use this saw before. This is from steel, and my dad bought this saw years ago. It's got the Easy Start system on it, and it's spring loaded. As he was advancing in years, he got old, but he still wanted to get out and do his own work and not have to ask for help from anybody. So, but he had to buy a saw that he could start easily, because he just lost his strength. He had cancer, and he just couldn't do what he could before. So he got this Easy Start system. It's a little small saw. It's a MS210C, like I say, it's 15, 18 years old. You've seen me use it before, and I'm just going to use it. That Easy Start system, I've had him replace the spring in it once, and it's pretty expensive to replace it. I'm not going to do it again because it's an old saw, but I'm going to use it until that spring breaks, and then I'll move on to something else. But you watch me when I start that. It's spring loaded so that it starts, you don't have to put much pressure on it to start it. That's all there is to it. Well, I got to tell you another story about this saw. I brought this saw in. What I did was, it was my own fault. I made a mistake. I didn't use it for about a year, and I left the gas in it, and that ethanol just clogged the carburetor right up. And I brought it into the shop, and I said, it's an old saw. I'm not going to put much money into it. If it's more than $50, I said, don't bother to fix it. So the mechanic came out after he'd looked at it a while, called me, came down, and he says, "Going to have to put a new carburetor in that." He says it's going to be about $125 to put a new carburetor in. And I said, well, I'm not going to do that. I'll just take the saw and take it home and junk it. So I got it home, and I get on the internet a little bit, and found out that there's a product out there called Seafoam. And this is an endorsement for Seafoam. Seafoam doesn't have any contact with me or anything. But I tried it. What I did was, I took the air cleaner off, and I dumped some Seafoam right down into the throat of the carburetor. And I just sloshed it around and got as much into that carburetor as I could, and I let it set for about 12 hours. And that was in the evening. When I get up the next morning, dumped all the Seafoam out of it that I could. I mean, the carburetor was just full of Seafoam, and it ran out just like water. Put everything back together, put the air filter on it and everything, and started it up, and it's run like a champ ever since. So that product has made me a believer in Seafoam. And I've used the saw for 2 years since then. It doesn't, it has some hitches in it and whatnot. It's not like a brand new saw by any stretch of the imagination, but it's a good little saw for small stuff like this, and that's what I use it for. But that mechanic thought he was going to charge me $125 to put a new carburetor in, and I spent, I don't know, $7 or $8 on a bottle of Seafoam, and it's given me a couple of years out of it, so that's good, and it's a good product. So okay, I'm going to load the bucket. It's about coffee time. It must be 9:30 in the morning, so I'm going to load the bucket, go back and have a second cup of coffee. You've seen me use these tongs before, and what a great product those are. You can see how easy it is for me to load those into the bucket. Really, another good product. When I'm doing a project like this, I probably should have two, one in each hand. Get twice as much work done. Of course, if I worked harder, I'd work faster, I'd get twice as much work done too. They're almost a whole bucket full. Not completely. I could have got a few more pieces on if I had them. But that's it. So the question I always ask myself is, how long would the wood in that bucket heat my house? You know, maybe a week, maybe 4 or 5 days to a week, depending on the weather. Worth it to me.